What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. So the Clippers have been doing fairly well as a team, keeping everything as close, as tight as they can, and keeping everything up as possible without their main star, Kawhi Leonard. And the return of Kawhi Leonard is basically days from now, from what I'm hearing, if they're really actually wanting to let him go. It's really up to, his team, more so the team itself, but it really is up to Kawhi and his team also. Of course, it's like a 50-50 thing. But I mean, I'm hearing that Kawhi is damn near ready to get on the court now. I mean, looking at him and looking at his progression, where he is and how he's progressed so far since, the injury and everything, and re-getting his knee looked into in this offseason and everything. So it's good news in that regard. But in the same sense, I really do not understand why the Clippers are entertaining this trade with the Bulls. Now, you heard me say before that the Bulls pretty much have, two players I think that really could benefit the Clippers, but and that was Zach LaVine and that was Vucevic. But at the same time, when you look at the way the Clippers are built now, when they went out and got Derrick Jones Jr. and everything, it is really a waste of time to get Zach LaVine specifically at this point. And I think that's more so what I'm hearing. That's more so who the Clippers are looking at more than anybody, in regards to the trade when it comes to them having conversations with the Bulls. I personally don't even understand why even entertain what the Bulls are trying to offer in a trade. But at the same time, if that's what the Clippers want to do, they're going to do it regardless. I just think that it'll mess up the chemistry of what they have right now, because if in the trade, they're going to ask for Norman Powell. You know that. They're going to ask for Terrence Mann. Now, of course, PJ Tucker or somebody like that, and maybe a couple of picks is not too bad if they were able to actually, maybe, ask for Terrence Mann along with PJ Tucker and a couple future picks. That might not be too bad, but I still wouldn't want to lose Terrence Mann specifically, because he's a part of that defense that the Clippers had that makes them unique. And whether Terrence Mann plays in the starting lineup or come off the bench, you still have a defensive player in him who can make things difficult for a team while they're on offense. And Zach LaVine, really, when I think about Zach, he has a lot of good scoring ability, but defense is it is his weakness times 10. And that's not what the Clippers are built on right now. When you traded for Derrick Jones Jr., when you got back Nico Batum, when you got Chris Dunn, and when you got players like that, I think you really set a precedent with your team, saying that we're going to be defensively sound, but we're also going to have a little bit of scoring ability just because we got James Harden and we got Kawhi Leonard too. So, I mean, to me, if you're going to get a piece from another team, then to me, if they were going to trade with the Bulls, if they're going to entertain it, I would only go after Vucevic. I would not even entertain Zach LaVine. Now, I know I've said before in my previous videos, Zach LaVine would be a pretty good piece to what the Clippers have. But the way they're built now, since they made the Derrick Jones Jr. trade and everything this offseason, they're just a completely different team to me than the way they looked previously. So, I mean, I don't think Zach would fit. I think it's a waste of time. Honestly, I say if they were going to go after trade, go for Vucevic. But even still, I'm not even sure if they really need him specifically. I'm not sure. Not unless they're going to throw Mo Bamba in there, or they don't like Mo Bamba, his services, and want to throw him in there with the trade maybe, and, substitute him for him or something like that, along with a couple picks or something, maybe give or take. But I mean, really, it's not going to make much difference, because even though I think Vucevic is more skilled, of course, than Mo Bamba and even Zubac, really, I just don't know where he would really fit in with the team in regards to utilizing him to the highest point, because you got Zubac playing pretty well this season. Now you're going to take away from Zubac's confidence. And then when you need Zubac to play, come in the game or start, or I guess Vucevic would start, if he was on the Clippers, and maybe they would have Zubac come off the bench, or maybe they play on the floor together. But even still, however it's done, you're still taking away from the production and everything from Zubac and the way he's been playing. And he's the type of player, to me, where Zubac needs to be engaged mentally for him to play at his best. Vucevic is more of the type, he can find a way to fit into an offense because, like I said, he can step out, he can shoot threes, he can knock down a 17-foot mid-range, he can play with his back to the basket. He's a really good rebounder, and I think that's something that, the Clippers would need to look at more so, because the Clippers do lack size in some areas playing against certain teams, certain matchups. So, I definitely think he would help the Clippers. I just don't know how it would affect Zubac long term, because I don't think they're going to get rid of Zubac. Specifically. So if they're not going to get rid of him, then, a player like Vucevic could basically step on his toes, so to say. So, I don't really know if that's the best way to go either. But if I was going to make a trade with the Bulls, it would have to be Vucevic. It would not be Zach LaVine at this point in time. So it's a tough decision for the Clippers because obviously they're still entertaining. Obviously they're still talking to this team, and there's trades in the works for the Clippers. And they're from what I've heard, they're thinking about maybe something by All-Star break or maybe before then. So, I'm just not sure, but I just don't like when teams do things like this because sometimes it throws off the chemistry of a team and what they're really about. But I will say this. I do think Vucevic will help them a little bit more size-wise, getting extra rebounds, and plus he's a better offensively than Zubac. So I can't say it will hurt them, but I just feel like sometimes when you make moves like this mid-season or trade deadline, sometimes it can kind of throw off the chemistry just a little bit, and you don't really want that because you haven't even built that much chemistry and cachet with your team because your superstar hasn't came back yet. You know what I mean? So you got your superstar coming back, trying to get his feet wet again, getting acclimated again. And then you bring in somebody like this guy, hypothetically, Vucevic or Zach LaVine, which I hope they don't go that route. But you do something like that, it can kind of like throw things off a little bit because now you got to make room for this other person who hasn't been there pretty much throughout the season, throughout the grind with this team. And now you're expecting them to just come in there and just, catch right on. And then you're going to go in there and make a playoff run to a championship. It can happen that way at times, but a lot of times it doesn't, you know what I mean? So the one time I remember actually happening was with Kawhi Leonard, actually with the Toronto Raptors. They went and got Marc Gasol and one or two other players mid-season, I think, in a trade for Valanciunas, and it worked out. They got a championship. But that's very rare for that to happen like that. Not unless you're adding like a superstar or something like that, or, a real well-known star player or something like that. But either way, we have to see what the Clippers do. I personally, it wouldn't bother me if they kept everything the same. But I do understand, the level of competition gets higher and better as the season goes on. And, the Clippers do see their weaknesses. And we all see their weaknesses and their strengths if we watch the Clippers enough. And I can't say it's a bad move if it's only for Vucevic. But they cannot get Zach LaVine. And I cannot overstate that enough. They cannot go after him because I think that'll just mess up everything. And I just think that he's just not the fit for the Clippers the way they are constructed now.